want everyone that listening feel to kind of like ask question and kind of like challenge
Both, there's something in
our
common
view.
about the world of entrepreneurship and the world of investment. They're all about going head first into uncertainty.
There's nothing wrong with challenging people's opinion. We're in a free world. Let's challenge it, right?
Yeah, let's debate it.
Hey Sam. Hey Reza. How are you
Hey
guys doing?
guys.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks,
And
Luca. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here in our conversation.
Yeah, and
absolutely. And oh, Sam. So just one thing. Today is a small, tiny realization of our dream because Sam and I, Reza, once said our dream is to have this podcast a little bit a traveling almost a podcast where we can go on a bus and go around or go and today is our first episode where we are almost on a boat.
Yes, yeah. I wish would have brought it up sooner so we could have all just been sitting here and do it. But let's do it for the
next
second
time.
time around. We'll
Yeah,
do it we'll pick a nice sunny day, be in the middle of nowhere, maybe
yeah,
anchored or dock somewhere, and have a great conversation
that that's
that would be awesome. That would be fantastic.
the
So,
ultimate goal for capital.
with the
First.
tank tops and swimsuits, and with a little brick jumping into the water for a
and
dip.
our podcast microphones,
Yeah. Go,
100%.
Sam. Sorry, eat it off.
Okay, Reza, it's good to have you on the podcast. For our audience who doesn't know who you are, who is Reza? Where'd you come from?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, who's Reza? So, um, I was originally born in Iran. Moved to Canada with my family when I was 13. Um, I have been coding since I was 9 years old. I got really excited and fascinated about computers when my dad brought this giant PC to our home and said it's called a computer. And with knowing very little, we started playing around with it and figuring, my brother and I figuring our way around it and realizing how magical this little box is and how you could bring things to reality out of nothing. So got really excited with that. So been coding since I was 9 or 10 years old. Moved to Canada when I was 13, which is where I met Sam in high school. Actually, that's where we originally met. Um, Went to SFU, did my computer engineering degree. I always thought my dream job was to work for Intel or AMD building chips. I got really fascinated by chip design. I should have gone for NVIDIA back then.
Yeah.
um, but I always had an entrepreneurial side to my self as well. I always wanted to start something from scratch, and I knew with hardware, no money and no experience, you can't really start a company. So I pivoted shortly after graduation to software, worked in the industry for about 10 years. And then after that, it was time to start something. It was all the hype around startup, the lean startup. Eric Ries's book had come out. So I saw him at an event in Vancouver and got really inspired about what he had done and how to do startups. I started a couple of companies, didn't go anywhere. I knew how to build software. I just had no idea about go to market and sales. So I built a online poker game and online dating app. And this is back when on the Nokia phone. So I was building Java code
Wow.
like on those like the Nokia ones that had just come up with like color screen. They said, "Oh, this is perfect. I could just have a poker game here."
Oh man, the swipe left and swipe right in the dating app on the Nokia phone would be a completely different experience.
Why? Way better with the arrows. Left, right, left, right, left, right.
Yes, yes. All that. So did that, didn't get anywhere. I got approached by Amazon down in Seattle. They offered me a job that was paying me 3 times the salary I was making in Canada. So that was a no-brainer. I quit my job and let go of my house and sold everything to go down the border. And shortly after that, I found out that you can't really um, you don't really have a job until the border guard gives you the job. So
Yeah.
that's where I got shut down. I hit the wall at the border. I They started like questioning me and asking questions such as, "Don't we have enough people, or don't we have enough talented people that we have to hire you?" And I said, "I don't know. Talk to my employer." And he literally said, "You don't have an employer. You don't have a job until I give you the job." So after that, it was a pretty hard time in my life. It was a pretty low time. I had no job, no savings, no place to live. So luckily, my parents uh, are around, so I moved back to my parents' house, and
How old
uh,
were you?
I was 31. Yeah, something like that. 29, 30, 31, something around that. I Yeah, but looking back, that was the best thing that could have happened to my career, because shortly after I met my future co-founders. They were going through another traumatic event in their own life, where they had started they were employees in a already established company that had raised from a Canadian investor. Uh, he had committed $1 million, gave him a $500,000, and when he wanted to give the second half, he looked at some of their onboarding experience and tech stack, and he said this is not really a company. So he pulled back his second $500,000 commitment, which resulted in company firing all the customers and laying off all the employees right before New Year. So
Oh,
yeah, so and my co-founders, they were all employees there, and Catherine, who ended up becoming the CEO of Beanworks at the time, she said, "Okay, I can't let this happen. This is a real business. Uh, let's figure out how to do it." So she was the head of sales, and she was kind of like a COO at that company. And she had just closed a customer, and she had to go back to the customer saying, "Sorry, our company's shutting down." But the customer was like super gracious, and they said, "Well, we need your software. You can't just really go away." So she worked a deal with them. She said, "Okay, you have to write a check." So he wrote $100,000 check. That this is the customer that had just signed up. Agreed to pay their annual fees up front, and allowed us to use their office space, and became our first angel in Beanworks. So
wow.
he was pretty
Wow.
happy. He was pretty happy at the end. So what we ended up doing is we did a management buyout. We bought the assets of the old company and respawned the new company from scratch, and yeah, migrate all the customers over, and we were able to actually maintain the customers, and some of them are still with the company today. So after a good 14, 15 years,
And you were
Wow.
the CTO of the company
I was the CTO. Yeah.
and co-founder.
Yes.
Wow.
Very cool. And many years after, you guys exited.
Yeah. After about 9 years in
Wow.
2021, we sold the company to Quadient. Just a little background on Beanworks: we automated the entire accounts payable process, from procure to pay, from
Wow.
purchase orders to invoices to payments, and all the workflows in the middle, and all the deep integrations with the accounting softwares. So we did that, and when we first started, like no one really knew what AP automation is. Right now, there are like probably over like 20 or 30 custom companies doing AP automation. It's a pretty crowded space, but
Wow.
still, like it has a very low penetration to the SME market, or just businesses. I think like some company did a research, and they said like only 5% of the existing businesses have automated their AP, which is still a very low number. Ramp right now is one of the
Yeah.
leaders in the space, and they I think they just raised at a $8 billion valuation, so they're growing. So yeah, we sold the company in 2021 to Quadient, out of France. There was a mandate, a European regulation coming in, that all the B2B invoices has to be digital, and Quadient wanted to be ahead of the game. So they said we need to get an AP automation partner, and that's where um, this acquisition happened. They also bought an AR automation company called YayPay out of Toronto. And yeah, so I left shortly after that. Went to Hawaii.
I guess not working though.
Not working. No, no. I left the company about a couple of months after the acquisition.
Wow, that's actually interesting because nowadays, if you think usually when there is an acquisition, an asset acquisition, company, product, blah blah, the co-founders they are bound to stay with the company for a while to earn their payout.
Yeah. So the way we structured it, we had an earnout. There was a there was a there was some sort of equity and compensation related if I'd stayed around for a year more. But I walked away from that because I just wanted to take a break
Yeah,
and move to the next chapter of my life. So the sooner I could have done that, the more ahead I would have been. So that's why I walked away from that and just left.
Okay.
cool.
That's a really cool story. I had no idea that it started as a management buyout.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
That's
nice.
that's our story.
Yeah.
So that's me.
So you've done it. You've done it once. You've gone through the startup life cycle once. You've exited once, and you decided to go back to it again. Last year when we talked, you were working on a different idea. Now this year, I met you at the Game of Capital event, and you told me that you're building a alternative accounting software. So tell us about what you're doing now.
Yeah. So after in my career break, I didn't really take a career break because as a founder, you can't really stay on the sidelines.
Oh,
You guys know that. So what I ended up happening, I did a lot of angel investing, a lot of advisory role, a lot of like fractional roles here and there. Um, but none of them were really exciting, and they were not scratching the itch. I wanted to be in it. You can't really advise the founders and they don't listen to you, or when you just write an angel check,
yeah,
they yeah, you can't really have influence on them, and no matter how many times you tell them like you should do this thing, they end up doing the wrong thing or their own thing, which is fine. uh, so it's just not for me. I'd rather be in the operator seat. So that's why I started another startup, and that's still ongoing, and now I am building Proper as of early this year.
What is proper?
Proper is an autonomous, all-in-one, audit-ready finance operating system. It will be your finance team for the SMB industry. So the CFO and controller don't really have to go hire an accountant and a controller and no, sorry, an accountant, an AP clerk, and AR clerk, and analyst, and all that stuff. So Proper will be doing all of that work for you. So everything will be automated. We will augment your finance team, which is just the CFO and controller running Proper.
So it's targeted towards CFOs or founders.
Yeah, CFOs and founders, yeah, business owners and CFOs, they could be running it.
Okay, very cool.
I,
Why this market?
Why this market? Definitely, like a lot of it is from my previous experience. At Beanworks, we did very well by automating accounts payable, but we automated just one slice of the finance stack. There's a lot more work that goes on in the finance teams. When we were dealing with our customers, they said, okay, AP automation is great. Can you also do our employee expenses? So we built our employee expenses. They said, can you also do our accounts receivable? Can you do our close management? Can you do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? But at the time, it required a massive amount of resources, and it was something that our Canadian investors, like we got excited about we went in the US and they said you should be building the whole thing. We got all excited, came back to Canada, and then Canadian investors said, no, just focus on AP. There's a lot to eat there. So kind of like uh dampen their ambition. but but this time around, like with AI and agentic coding, you can actually boil the ocean, and this is something we always wanted to do, and now we're gonna get the chance to do it, and super excited about it.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest headache as a founder. I can tell you that, being also wearing the shoes of a CFO, chasing all the requirements to keep your books up to date, and then you have softwares like QuickBooks, and you and I were actually talking about that when we met, that they are actually just a glorified entry form for another big system. They don't really help me doing anything. Like, I still don't understand why I cannot actually connect to my Gmail and just say scan my mail for anything that is accountancy and put it in your system, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's pretty outdated. It hasn't revolutionized much at all. Like the biggest revolution that happened to accounting system was going from desktop to SaaS, and nothing has happened since then. Um,
no,
so what winds up happening right now is SMBs, they have like a QuickBooks or Zero, or if the business is older than 10 years old, they're running on desktop-based ERPs such as Sage or Dynamics.
yeah,
They and as the business grows, they don't want to go to like NetSuite or Intact, so they buy add-ons for these accounting softwares. And Beanworks was one of those add-ons, AP automation add-on that would sit on top of your accounting software. We were in the system of record. We would connect to the system of record. So companies buy a payroll software, they buy an AP software, they buy an expense management software, they buy FP&A software, they buy close management software. And at the end of the day, all the work is manual and happens in Excel. So
yeah, exactly.
you're paying all this money to software companies and people, and still an owner or a CEO or owner or like owner wants to know what the metrics are. They have to go to the CFO. CFO has to go to controller. Controller says the books are not closed. They go chasing expenses and invoices, and 2 weeks later they get data, but it's irrelevant now. So they don't, because of the way things are set up, you have very little uh, access to real time insight and data on your business and how to make decisions. And that at the end of the day, that's what the CFO's job is, and that's what the CEO needs. So, and that's because of outdated accounting software, all this like data silos. Some data lives here, some data lives here, some data lives here, and manually has to be pushed and shoved via some of these integrations. Integrations break down, don't work. I was talking to a controller, and they realized, like, from 4 months ago, their payroll integration was broken, and it was posting to the wrong GL, so all their all their tax accounts were wrong, and they had to spend like probably 2 weeks cleaning it up. These integrations are fragile and brittle, so the best integration is no integration.
Okay.
That's where we are going with the all-in-one accounting software.
So it's going to be the system of record and the automation workflow all in one.
Absolutely, it will have, it's a system of record with all the bells and whistles. I was talking to another accounting firm in Vancouver, that for their own internal accounting, they were paying roughly, we summed it up like quickly, how much are they paying for software. They pay roughly about $250,000 in a year in software, for like, they're on SAP, and they're on this other tool, and there's other tool for their expenses, this other tool for their collections, and have a team of 7 people, and they're still behind on their AR. So they were looking to hire yet another AR person to just, and what an AR person is, just a like collection. It's just call the customers and make sure they pay. That's something agents can do this like easily these days, right? So
100%.
yeah, so like the finance team is like, the overhead was about $1 million a year. Is still a year. So we are working on them. They're one of our early design partners, and we will significantly cut that cost by 80%.
I don't know if you ever thought about that. Maybe it could be a good input. But as a founder, and I'm always in this fundraising phase, right? One of the things that you need to prepare are these data rooms, and data rooms also never really changed since like the origin of times. But usually they ask you for your books and for your P&L and all those kind of things. And I'm actually kind of like wondering why QuickBooks and these tools, they don't have like a quick share link that I can pass to my board or my investors, and they have some sort of access policies they can see, they can play with the tool themselves. It's a great kind of like inbound also form for them because they can get new customers. And it's crazy. It's an export in Excel, and then I don't know what they're doing with that Excel. And there are so many things that are still so manual, so error prone, like like you mentioned, like closing the books every quarter. Perfect bread for agents to work on that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So that's how it should be. It should be like all the repetitive work should be done by agents, and anything that they can't do are exceptions that has to be handled by human in the loop. Either the tasks that they don't know how to make decisions on, or the human hasn't allowed them to make those
Correct.
decisions. And
Correct.
these are the things that will get bubbled up to the human, and human would just make a decision, and the system either says, "Do you want me to do this next time around?" So like as you work with the system more and more, kind of like the system gets better, kind of like Tesla self-driving.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
train, you train on this data, and it just gets better and better and better until you can actually go hands free and books are closed.
So your new motto should be put finance on autopilot.
Yes,
Something like that.
yeah, that's autonomous finances. That's what
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Which is
That's
kind of like
that's really cool. I think that
uh,
solves a big problem. I as a founder myself, and that's a part of the job that I would love for it to be automated.
And no one enjoys doing that.
Nobody enjoys doing it.
nobody.
Nobody likes doing it.
Nobody likes doing it, but everyone needs it. Every business needs this,
100%.
right? The time
100%.
the time is every single business. um and yeah, and there's a big gap. It's like there's a big gap currently in the market between like QuickBooks and Zeros and NetSuite and Intact, which is 50K a year installation, 9 months rollout. And, these are expensive tools that are for larger businesses. So there's a big gap in between between these two businesses that we're trying to fill. We're not alone, obviously. There are a lot of other companies are going after this space. I think collectively about $750 million has been invested for companies that are going after this space. So it's a pretty hot and crowded space, and um, yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Is Proper already live, or you guys are still building it?
We are building it. We will be live by midsummer.
Okay. Okay. I want to try it as soon as it's live.
Love it. Yeah, we're actively looking for design partners to help us build it better to their needs.
Yeah.
And yeah, the initial verticals that we're going after are service industries, not for profits, hospitalities.
No tech startups.
Tech startups. Yeah.
Sorry, you put it under the non-profit. You are completely right. That's I completely forgot. I forgot.
They're not even non-for-profit. They're burning money.
Yeah, we are basically we are more ecological AI companies. That's how I call myself. We burn less trees.
Yeah, a lot of startups are usually they're charging like on they have somewhat decent stack. It's still not all in one autonomous, but like they charge by credit card, and some of this stuff are the AR is coming through that. They're paying the fees for it, but a lot of like real legacy businesses, they're still on invoice based, and that's where a lot of this headache comes from. Just processing these invoices, chasing these invoices.
Yeah, the small medium market is, I think, very interesting. Like we work for my startup with a company that out of the states, but they offshore to Sri Lanka and other countries, all these bookkeepers, and they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. They do a great job, but I think they spend 50% of their time chasing me and waiting that I still give them the last info for closing Q1, and we're almost in end of Q2. Just to let you know that I'm the worst enemy of finance teams because I'm slow. I'm not
We'll,
precise.
we'll tell that to our agents to say if you see Luca
If you see
Marashi,
Luca.
just
But
chase him, ping him every day.
That's actually, to be honest, I was just thinking another great opportunity is when your software become some sort of like, I call it the SaaS in the SaaS, which means that for example, these bookkeeping companies can actually give access, or they can provide third parties access to your platform. Because for startups like mine, to be honest, spending, I don't know, $60, $70 USD for QuickBooks, that I don't even use because they use it, and I just
Mm.
need it just because by compliance I need to have it.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's It's ridiculous, right? I would
yeah.
rather actually pay agents for that.
So that's what we're actually targeting, like finance teams that are between 2 to 7 people, as well as accounting
Mm.
firms that they have to do the bookkeeping and accounting and AP and AR, closing the books for their clients. So I was just talking to an accounting firm, and they manage about 100 clients out of Vancouver, and they're interested in trying out Proper and becoming one of our design partners, because they see the pain of this manual closing and AP, all these deferred revenues and accruals and payrolls and CRA submissions and IRS submissions and multi-entity consolidation, and they're excited about our offering.
So
Very
because
cool.
this one is a group of people exchanging, did you work already with the MCL here in Vancouver?
Yeah, the MCL. I haven't worked with them. I've interacted with them, but yeah, there could be.
I can intro you to their one of their partners, is the guy that does my uh, books for my other startup. So and to be honest, very selfishly, I would love to use stuff so that I don't have to do my bookkeeping. I have agents doing it, and I can would love that, because I'm enemy number 2 probably in his hit list. So
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely appreciate the intro. I'm like you. Like my accountant's always chasing me to
Same.
where's your transactions, where's your credit card statement,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
categorize them, where are the backup invoices. Like everything should be done automatically.
I
Like
think that's going to be the story of every entrepreneur. I think their accountants are always chasing them to get their information.
now I tell you something even uh, interesting, right? And then we can go into the conversation that probably some of you wanted to touch about funding. But imagine how much the world of accounting is benefiting from AI and from third parties, because there is a scenario. You can actually reimburse yourself in a company, because you do use your personal credit card for a company expense, right? And Brex, Ramp, and all those kind of things. They basically, what they do, they let you click a checkbox and say, do you certify that is a legit expense for the business? Because they want to do, withdraw liability on that, because what you want to avoid, to being sued for embezzling, right? Because that's
mm,
rule number 1 of embezzling. And I always said, but why don't we have a system that I can connect my Amex and they can anonymize all my data and say, we validate against the transaction on Lucas Amex, and it's legit that this is the trip and this is the reimbursement we should process. So it's some sort of like stamp of approval. And you can use system like Plaid, like other the one to connect your bank account and so on.
oh,
That would be phenomenal, because you would save so much money and legal headache. Because nowadays in 2026, guys, we are still spending. No, sorry, let me rephrase it. We are making EY and all this company, Deloitte, rich using completely useless amount of neurons to do, validation and diligence on statements.
yeah, 100%. Like the system should be smart enough that say, hey, I just saw a transaction for this restaurant, and I know you were with Sam and Luca in this business line. So this is a business line. So let me categorize that as, I don't know, whatever GL that you want. So like the system should tell you that. You shouldn't be like
But
manually doing it, or account like 6 months later your accountant's chasing for where's the backup receipt for this transaction, and who was it for. Like this is painful. It's painful, and
I,
that's why we are late to respond to these accountants, because it's a painful process. Like nobody wants to do that shitty
no,
non-value added work.
but I give you
I don't
an
know if I can
example.
swear on your podcast or not, but
You
You
can do
can.
anything.
You can do whatever you want.
The crazy thing is that you like everyone has a Visa, Mastercard, or Amex, right? So why do I need to have five when I can just have one, and the Amex can actually process the transaction and say, Luca, was this transaction done for business? Yes, which business? And I put in my Amex list that I have Platformatic, blah, 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 blah. And automatically I can just do click, 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 done. And this one can be connected into a master of records that can be used by, Platformatic, for example, to withdraw my personal statement and say, hey, Luke has been paying for this, and that. Process reimbursement, or it was already processed, and they do reconciliation.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, separate out the personal ones, because a lot of business owners put a lot of transactions in the corp card for the points, right? And they
Yeah,
just have
but
to clear it out.
which I mean,
I mean,
come on. Nobody wants to go around with 27 credit cards.
yeah,
Guys,
It's ridiculous.
as much fun it is sitting beside between two technical founders talking about features, I do want to move to a very interesting topic, which is very important and trending today, which is AI, artificial intelligence. I'm curious to know, Reza, what you think the impact of artificial intelligence is going to be on the economy, how it's going to make everything different. I think in your case, I'm assuming that you are using AI as a tool to build proper. Knowing you always stay on top of things, and you're actually building an artificial intelligence system as well. So how do you see it? Changing the market, changing the landscape. How is it going to affect the economy over the next 5 to 10 years?
yeah. So it's a great question. So how would AI? I believe like AI, as we already know it, it's gonna take away a lot of manual mundane tasks out of our hands. So, and frees us to do a lot more. It's gonna have a massive impact on the job industry. We're already seeing it, all the layoffs and all the disruptions in the employments. So there will be a lot of layoffs. Like the future of work. It's a pretty hot conversation right now in the industry. A lot of people are talking about it. What would future of work look like? I think it will result in a lot of it will have a deflationary pressure on everything, uh, because if, like me as an accountant, I don't have to hire three people to close the books, and I can just do it with an AI software and myself. um, I it's I shouldn't be charging my customers the same amount of money as I was doing before. Or if I do, my customers are going to go somewhere else, and because I wouldn't charge them, right? So I think it will have a differential pressure on a lot of prices, and people who take advantage of the AI should be passing down the savings to their end users. Uh, that's one thing. The the other thing is, I believe it's going to result in a lot more economic activity that would, um, I think I think it will, like, over like in the next 5 years, it will result in a lot more economic activity, that a lot of those people that have lost their jobs will be able to get back into the workforce. So I think it will have a huge impact. I feel like it's a tsunami coming. Um, the AI tsunami is coming. A lot of people who are at the right place, or making the right decisions, they could ride the tsunami, um, and make a lot of money, create a lot of value, and a lot of people are going to get washed out. But then we will land on our feet in the next 5 to 7 years, but it will be a rough few years until we land on our feet, and that's kind of where I think we are heading.
I completely agree with that thesis. I think there's going to be in short term companies readjusting to the value that AI is bringing to their company, but at the same time we're going to see a lot more new companies, a lot more new startups coming up with good service. before, if you wanted to receive a good service, you had to go to a bigger company that had more capability. If you wanted to invest in a hedge fund, you were looking for a 60 team analyst team so that they had the horsepower to do research for your investments. But now maybe a 5-10 person hedge fund team can produce the same level of research on their investments using artificial intelligence. So there's going to be a lot smaller companies, a lot more smaller companies, a lot more startups providing good service and kind of disrupting the market for big corporations as well. I 100% agree with your assessment on how it's going to change jobs and what effect it's going to have on smaller companies.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely exciting times, and a lot of these, like as you said, a lot of these small companies that are kind of come up. Um, you have to be like founders have to be really careful what they're building, so that they're not going to get disrupted by these labs
Oh,
coming in and
yeah.
eating your lunch. So um, I think A16Z just put out a great post, I think yesterday, on if you're on the golden path to Oz, be careful, because there's a like the labs are gonna come and just roll over you. But there's a lot of other activities that are happening that labs cannot compete with, such as some of these human relationships, or things that need to be deterministic, right? Accounting needs to be deterministic. No lab is going to come and automate that. It needs the good old software engineering to actually build a software that does that. So I feel like places where like you're dealing with the physical world, you're safe, or you're dealing with you're in an industry that's needs very deterministic workflows, I think you're safe. But if you're on like SEO or marketing or things that are like non-deterministic, I think labs are gonna come in and automate all of that away.
Wow. Yeah, very good conversation. I think the next, well, I'd like to get into funding and capital, being the game of capital, and want to know your experience. You've both fundraised in the US and in Canada from venture capitalists, and you've dealt with investors from both sides of the border. What's your experience been like? And if you were to fundraise again, how would you do it?
Yeah, so it's a interesting question, because I'm actually in the middle of fundraise right now. Um, I'm kind of torn about that. Obviously, U.S. investors, like, it's a whole different game. There's a lot more money in the U.S. Uh, there's bigger capital. They take bigger swings, bigger bets, and sometimes they're wrong, and sometimes they have massive wins, which results in them taking a lot more risk. In Canada, we don't have that. A lot people are a lot more conservative. They try to get the biggest bang for their buck when they're investing, and we just haven't had those massive outcomes that the US has had. So we don't have that much capital flow. We were just talking about this before the recording started. A lot of those stuff hasn't happened. So in the US is a completely different ball game. For second startup, we were raised from US investors, and it's bonkers, especially like for pre-seed. They on a couple of virtual meetings and a pitch deck, they just wired us the money, and um, we were actually going to meet them in person, and they could have waited to for the in-person meeting to happen, so that they see we're not crazy or not. But they specifically made sure the wire hits the bank account before the first in-person meeting. And the reason for that was their justification for that was that if that hadn't happened, we would just spend a couple of hours like selling each other on this. We rather us solving the problem, not do selling, which is you never see that in Canada. You would never see that in Canada.
100%.
I mean, yes and no. I think it really depends, because in Canada, I I personally, my experience has been that for the pre-seed phase, extremely interesting environment, very conservative investment, but still, I think a lot of more empathy on the pre-seed phase. while in US you get really this massive amount of economical force for seed A, B, C, and growth. But yeah, the majority of actually groups here in Canada that they do, let's say, late seed A, they look for outcomes that, to be honest, are unreasonable. Like you get, if I make $2 million in ARR, do you think I need your money? At a series A, like I already have 2 million. If I show already growth, I probably, I'm not gonna dilute myself more to just like get
Well,
some
depends.
cash.
Depends if you have competition, like not still not customers, you might have to raise that money, even if you're at 2 million. It's case by case.
It's case by case, but I think nowadays AI was actually extremely good in harmonizing most of these processes. Like with I don't want to say AI is a great catalyst for engineers that are competent to accelerate time to market. And so that competition is kind of like very, very, very hard because it's a fight on retaining the best team nowadays. Like actually one interesting point of AI, without going into philosophy, because I know that we are almost at time, is that the AI variable completely flipped the equation of delivery and value, because now when everyone thinks that AI is taking over people, now people are the most valuable assets in valuing your company. Like the
Yes.
strongest
Good
team are the
people.
ones that are
Good people.
good. I'm talking about tier one engineers.
Yes.
They go on the market. Sam and I were talking, and it was shocked by the value of an engineer in this, of a top tier one engineer. Nobody cares about revenue. They care in an acquire or in an asset acquisition.
Yeah.
You put the team as an asset, well before it was not anymore. So thanks AI for that. Very selfish. Thanks to them.
Would you guys both say that because of AI, you're going to need less capital?
100%. Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah.
It requires a lot less to get going.
Yeah. You have less people.
Yeah, the
but
cost
more
of develop.
expensive.
If yeah, you need less people. Like whether you're building software, whether you're building marketing campaigns, if whether you're building a sales strategy, you just need less, but a lot more competent people.
Correct.
So instead of having like a 4-person marketing team, you could have just
Really good one person. Yeah.
one director of marketing that is performing
Yeah.
at the size of a 10-person team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of having 4 people.
Yeah.
Because it's nuts. It's like using AI is exhausting. Because before you used to give a task to one of your employees, and you would just wait a couple of days for them to come back, question, and deliver it. And like you just give it to AI, 5 minutes later, they're like, "Look at that. Here you go.
With 1,000 questions."
Now, what should I do next?
Yeah.
So
I
it's exhausting. Like when you go through these like AI sessions, and you have like 6 different AI agents waiting on you to make a decision. It's you're going a lot faster, but you're working a lot. Like I've never been working this hard in my life with AI.
actually
That's so true.
look.
That is
This
so
is
true.
42 pages of white paper that I wrote. I designed the algorithm, I designed any detail, but if I had to write 40 and more pages of explanation without AI, today we will not have a podcast. Tomorrow I would not say thanks God this weekend, and I'll be there writing, right?
I thought you're gonna show me those. Those are you print your agent responses and you read them offline.
No, because I finally realized, and actually kind of funny, I'm gonna release soon something, but I build a workflow and it works perfectly. The only problem that the AI became so. I mean, Claude actually told me that I'm dysgraphic. I don't know how to draw and I don't know how to write. My self consciousness actually was strong against Claude. And I say, I'm sorry that I write like a kid, but that's my handwriting. So just your problem to read it, not mine. And but that's actually kind of like interesting how the way of working has changed. I could design my algorithm on a piece of paper and then bounce it to a workflow, and then it gives me an asset that I can discuss with my co-founder finally. It's
This
not anymore
But why do you print
intangible.
it? I'm just curious. Still, I can't
Because
get.
I'm a lawyer. Because I'm a lawyer, so I print everything, and I have a pencil and pens, right, of each color, because I need to highlight them, and then I know how to change them.
wow.
Get him an iPad for his birthday.
I have an iPad, and it's terrible. I only use my iPad Pro, the top tier iPad Pro. I use it to watch Netflix when I fly.
Luca, when is your birthday?
April 17th.
April 7th.
Yeah, yeah, we will have a special episode of the Game of Capital.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely do. We're getting close to the end, but I think I would love to have you, Reza, back. I wanna dig deeper on how AI is changing early stage investing. Does you needing less capital mean it's going to be less investment rounds but higher valuation? How is that going to change? So I'm very curious to know. I have to always put on my investor hat, think about it from a as a how would a VC be analyzing if they were to establish a new fund today and
Yeah,
wanted to invest in software? What would that what would a successful structure look like? I'm always curious about that. So I would love to have you
yeah,
back so we
yeah.
can
Would love
dig
to
deeper
chat
into
about
that.
that.
Yeah,
I
dig
think
deeper into that conversation.
it's actually a very tough time for both existing founders and existing investors right now, because a lot of deals that you've like from investor perspective, there's a lot of deals that you've underwritten that have just been wiped out by AI. And you're like, holy shit, what do I do next, right? And for and that's gonna like return your that's gonna like massively impact your IRRs if a if one of these frontier labs like wipes out all your companies, right? And
Yeah,
for existing companies that have raised like I don't know tens of millions of dollars at high valuations, now now they have to like compete with all these new entrants that are coming in and are moving a lot faster and a lot leaner. You have to compete with them, but also now you have to lay off all these employees that you have hired based on those $10 million rounds that
Yeah.
you've done, right?
yeah,
So it's a I think it's an excellent time to be a new fund and a new company.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
in this
100%.
new
I agree with
transition.
that.
I agree.
I think it'll be a fantastic conversation over the ocean in your beautiful boat. Filippo, get your tools ready, get your camera ready. We're doing the next one on site.
Let's do it. Looking
Let's do
forward
it.
to it.
All right. Thanks,
Reza,
Luca.
thanks for being here, Sam, and see you next time.
See you guys next time.
Take care.
Ahoy.
See ya.